This is the story of the child who was never allowed to be angry. They learned that anger was dangerous, so they swallowed it whole. They smiled when they were frustrated. They laughed when they were hurt. They said, "It's okay," even when nothing was okay at all. And the worst part? They never learned that feeling anger is not just human, but healthy. This is the story of children who were taught that anger is a bad thing, a flaw to be corrected. But the emotions, they never just went away. They stayed. They were buried deep inside, growing quietly, silently, waiting. How many times have we heard parents say, "I don't want my child to be angry," or "I just want them to be polite and behave"? It comes from a good place, a desire for a peaceful, happy child. But here's a truth that we need to face. Suppressing anger doesn't create a calm child. It creates a silent storm inside them. Children who are constantly discouraged from expressing anger don't just stop being angry. They learn a dangerous skill, emotional suppression. This skill, learned in childhood, is directly linked to anxiety, depression, and chronic people-pleasing behaviors that can follow them for the rest of their lives. So, how does a child learn to hide their anger? It often starts with subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, messages. First, there's shaming. When a child is angry, they might hear, "You shouldn't feel that way," or "Why are you getting so angry over something so small?" These words teach them that their feelings are wrong, invalid, or an overreaction. Then there's punishment. If you shout again, you're going to your room. If you hit back, no one will want to play with you. No one will love you. The child quickly connects the expression of anger with the loss of love, safety, and connection. And we can't ignore cultural pressure, which can be incredibly powerful, especially in many Desi homes. There's an unspoken rule. Be quiet. Be polite. Don't embarrass the family. Anger is seen as a disruption, a sign of disrespect. So the child starts to internalize these messages. They think, "My feelings are dangerous. My anger is unacceptable." The result? Instead of learning to express their anger in a healthy way, they bury it. And that buried anger doesn't disappear. It slowly morphs into something else. Fear, guilt, or a deep, simmering resentment that poisons them from the inside out. Let's talk about the silent consequences of this. The child learns to smile. They learn to obey, to adjust, to be the easy one. But inside, that storm is growing, getting stronger with every swallowed feeling. Adults who were never allowed to be angry as children often carry a heavy burden. They frequently experience chronic anxiety, a constant hum of unease they can't quite place. They develop people-pleasing tendencies, contorting themselves to fit others' expectations, terrified of causing conflict. They live with a constant suppressed frustration, like a lid rattling on a boiling pot. They find it incredibly difficult to assert themselves, to set boundaries, or to simply say, "No." This leads to low self-esteem because their own needs have always come second. And it creates deep conflicts in their relationships because they don't know how to navigate disagreements without feeling like the world is ending. They want to scream, to finally let it all out, but their voice was silenced for so long that now even their inner voice just whispers. There's real emotional science behind this. Anger isn't just a bad mood. It's a natural, biological response. It's a signal that a boundary has been crossed, that something is unfair, or that a need isn't being met. When you suppress this signal, your body goes into a state of high alert. Your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, increase. When this happens repeatedly, it leads to chronic stress, which affects everything from your physical health to your mental clarity. Children who are never allowed to be angry often become perfectionists or people pleasers. Their entire self-worth becomes tied to earning approval, because approval means safety. It means avoiding the conflict that feels so threatening, and that unexpressed anger, it has to go somewhere. It can transform into passive aggression, sarcastic comments, silent treatment, subtle sabotage, or it turns inward, leading to self-sabotage, where you undermine your own success because you don't feel you deserve it. We have to understand this. Anger is not the enemy. Silence is. Let's look at some real-life examples that might feel familiar. A young child accidentally spills a glass of milk. They feel a flash of frustration, but they know what happens next. Expressing that frustration will likely lead to a scolding. Why aren't you more careful? So what do? They put on a tight smile, clean it up silently, and feel a wave of guilt for being upset in the first place. Or imagine a teenager who gets genuinely angry at a teacher for being unfair, or at a friend who betrayed them. They come home to vent, looking for support, but instead, their parents say, "Control your temper. Don't act like that. It's not respectful." The lesson the teen learns is devastating. Even when I'm right, even when things are unfair, my emotions don't matter. My perspective is irrelevant. Years later, as adults, these same children will avoid conflict at all costs. In their jobs, they won't ask for a raise they deserve. In their relationships, they'll agree to things they don't want, just to keep the peace. Because in their minds, anger was always equated with rejection and punishment. These family and cultural patterns are powerful. In many households, especially within Desi culture, anger is seen as a force of destruction. Children are taught they must always adjust. Respect is equated with silence, and shouting, even in a moment of valid frustration, is seen as a loss of dignity, a shameful display. This creates a cycle that's hard to break. Parents who were taught to suppress their emotions raise children who learn to do the same. Those children then become adults who ignore their own suppressed feelings, and the problems, the anxiety, the resentment, the broken relationships inevitably appear in adulthood. And then the cycle repeats with the next generation. But here's the good news. This cycle can be broken. Healing is possible, both for the adults who were suppressed and for the children we are raising now. If you are an adult who was never allowed to be angry, the first step is to recognize that your anger is valid. It's a part of you, and it has a right to exist. Start by giving it a voice, even in private. Journaling can be an incredible tool. Write it all down, uncensored. Talk to safe people. A trusted friend, a partner, or a therapist who can provide a non-judgmental space. Physical activity is also a powerful outlet. Go for a run, hit a punching bag, dance it out. Let your body release the tension it's been holding. And most importantly, start small with setting boundaries. It will feel scary, but it is the ultimate act of self-respect. And for the parents listening, you have the power to change the narrative for your children. Allow them to express frustration safely. Teach them the words for their feelings. I can see you feel angry because your tower fell down. Validate their feelings, even if you don't agree with their behavior. You can say it's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to hit. Separate the emotion from the action. Avoid shaming or punishing the emotion itself. Anger isn't something to be feared. It's a teacher. It teaches children about their limits, about fairness, and about self-respect. Suppressing it only teaches them fear. The children who were never allowed to be angry grew up hiding storms inside themselves. They became adults who walk on eggshells, even in their own lives. But it is never too late. It's never too late to learn that your anger is human. It's never too late to learn that it can be expressed safely. And it's never too late to understand that it can teach, not destroy. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Because helping a child, or helping the child that still lives inside of you, learn to express anger safely is the very first step toward true emotional freedom. Thanks for watching. Thanks for